video to see if I can speed up the candied fruit process. So I've made candied fruit before, or candied fruit peel even. It works pretty well. I can do it at home, and I also did a video on candied melon skin and doing like a mock ginger, and it worked pretty well. And there's no way that you could tell that it was melon skin once it had been candied or crystallized, whichever you kind of way you kind of want to kind of do it. But it's like a long process. When you kind of boil it up in sugar and let it go cold, and then the next day boil it up again for 5 minutes, and then let it go cold, and then the next day and the next day. And it takes about 5 or 6 days, sometimes 7 days. It just seems like a long process, and I was kind of thinking, do we need that 24 hours cool down period in between boilings? Is it kind of quite necessary? So what I thought I'd do is, since I've got some, I had some ginger peelings, so I've got this is like a ginger syrup that I've made, because it'd be nicer than just a plain old melon, so we might as well use the ginger syrup. It was the ginger trimmings, and I boiled them in some water to make like a ginger tea, and then let it steep for 24 hours, and then I've strained it, all the bits out of it, and we're just left with like the ginger syrup. And then I've got some melon, like two melons worth of skin, so they can go in. And it was just one of those, well, I've got the kind of stuff, let's have a go at making it. And I want to make some more fruit cakes. I've got something that I want to try in the fruit cake instead of fruit. So it'd be a nice idea if I had some candied peel to go in as well. So, equal quantities of sugar and water, and then fruit. Bring it up to the boil, simmer 5 minutes, let it go cold, repeat the process. But what I'll do is we'll bring it up to the boil, simmer it for 5 minutes, and then I'll put it in a sink of cold water, which will cool it down quicker. And then we'll see if it should cool down within half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that, and we'll see if we can actually do it in less time. We might have to boil it up more than 6 times. Kind of, if you boil it up 6 times over 6 days, you get the idea. You get the idea. So I might need to boil it up 7 or 8 times to get kind of the same result, but it would speed up the process, which I'm just curious about. But anyway, and if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. It hasn't cost me much. It's cost me 700 grams of sugar, which has gone into the syrup. But anyway, I'm waffling. You don't need to bring it up to the boil. You don't need to see it simmering for 5 minutes. But I will do is, once I've boiled it up a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 times, we'll have a look at it again and we'll see how it's going, and we'll get an idea if it's working, because you pretty much know after other boilings if it's kind of working. Because I'm doing orange at the moment, and this has been boiled up for, like, we're on like the 4th or 5th boil, and you can tell that it's working. So if that gets to this stage, after the boilings and the rapid coolings, it should be working. Right, so I've boiled it up now for about the 9th time, and it's just about there. So what we're at, it's about 24 hours. Because obviously I started it later on yesterday. About 6 o'clock in the evening, so I can only get 70 boils. Boil it up, and then it takes an hour to cool down in some cold water type thing. So I've been doing it, and I've been out today. So it's been about 9 boils over 24 hours, and it's crystallised. Well, it's cooked all the way through and gone transparent. It's just not as tender as it was before. So what I think is that when you cook it, well, you simmer it for 5 minutes and then allow it to cool down, and then sit in the sugar for like 24 hours before you boil it up again. I think what that does is it kind of, the sugar has more time to kind of penetrate the fruit and kind of soften it. So it kind of works doing it quickly, boiling it, cooling it down, then reboiling it when it's cool. It kind of works. It's just not as good, but it works. It speeds up the process. So that's just kind of like just an out of interest, it works type of video. If you want to speed up the process, you don't want to tie up a pan for a week. It certainly works. There we go. So yeah, it works.